the sad theme song.
That's not sad.
It is sad.
It's not sad.
No?
That's like upbuilding music.
That's the sound of hope.
Yes.
All right, let me introduce you guys. Joe Reckel is here, and Mike Sobieski is here. We've met Rob Sobieski. Mike is Joe's brother, Rob's brother, right?
Correct.
All right, and brother, you guys are brother-in-law, right?
Yes.
Damage Control Services. You all work for Damage Control Services. The whole Northeast is calling you today, so we got to be quick because they all want you to come up there and fix things. The show is here so that we could all know a little bit better about how, I guess, we can prevent damage in the first place, and maybe what to do when damage does happen. And we are watching as the Northeast is recovering from, or beginning to recover from the damage that was caused to them overnight while Hurricane Sandy passed through. Joe Reckel and Mike Sobieski, good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
How you doing?
Great. It's good to be here. It's kind of sad what's happening, what we've seen go through the area, especially areas like that aren't quite prepared or ready for something like this. But we hope that everyone's okay and pray for continued safety and that they continue to be able to rebuild from this now.
And I'm curious, in your line of work, it seems like the big thing, and we've had it happen here too, the big thing for a lot of them, even though you like the news cameras will go to the houses that burned down or that had a tree fall on them, but for the majority, it's the lack of electricity. Mm-hmm. So is part of what you do to line people up with generators, is that like a simple fix for somebody or not really?
Well, we work with electric companies, electrical contractor, that they do whole home generators to help people in a situation like that. But there's a lot of things that people can do that they don't even think about. As far as preparing for no electricity. For example, freezing water jugs, and keeping them in the refrigerator and putting them in your freezer. To help with the keeping things cold longer, filling up your bathtub with water so that you can use it for flushing the commode or different things, washing. There's a lot of different things, but that is often the worst situation as far as just being out of power. And for us, unfortunately, we're so spoiled by air conditioning, not like today, but when a hurricane comes through and it's hot and humid afterwards.
Oh yeah.
It's just it creates absolute misery.
Do you know, one of the damages that I saw this morning on the news was I guess it was like a 3-story building, and like one column of apartments had the whole front facade just ripped off. Mm. Did you see that? And so it's almost like you're looking into a dollhouse. All these people, hopefully they're okay, but suddenly there's no wall facing the street. It was just an amazing thing to see.
Yeah, the power that those storms and those hurricanes put out, it's unbelievable. And that's the thing. If you're not prepared, or if buildings aren't necessarily created or were built at that time to take something like that, especially up in the Northeast area, they don't get a lot of hurricanes. But when they do come, you definitely show the evidence of it.
Do we? I had heard that Hurricane Andrew was a change in building codes, and so anything built before then has like shorter nails or something. Is that accurate? And have you seen this?
Yeah, there's Andrew was a complete. It changed the whole construction industry as far as how the building codes and everything went from then on, just because of the lack of quality or the tie downs, the all the components that hold a house together. There wasn't a lot of regulations on it, but after Andrew, they saw such a lack of the buildings holding up. They just completely revamped the code system. So you've got a lot more stringent codes now. So I mean, they'll take up to, I think, even 150 mile an hour winds in some areas. Yeah.
Mike is our general contractor on staff, so he's gone through the schooling in order to be a licensed general contractor.
So you're the one who starts from scratch. You eyeball it and say, well, this is what we need to take down, and here's a sketch of what we want to put in its place. And
exactly. Yeah.
Work with the architects and engineers in order to get whatever's needed done.
And I think I brought this up once before, but just repeat it if you don't mind. When there's damage, are you obligated to put it back as it was by the insurance rules, or can the owner say, hey, as long as it's apart, let's put it back a little better or a little different?
Well, the situation with that is the insurance is only going to pay for what was damaged.
To build back
the structure or whatever was damaged during whatever type of loss it was.
Right.
So we're obligated to make sure that it gets put back to as good or better standards that it was previously. But the homeowner is allowed to make adjustments. Once the insurance settles with them, to make adjustments to change things in the house. I mean,
right.
they're often. Like you mentioned with Andrew, if the home was built prior to that, the insurance company is often obligated to take care of code upgrades
and
to upgrade the house to today's standards.
Well, that would make sense, yeah.
Yeah.
And are you, or do you have to go through the same bidding war with other general contractors, like when you need auto repair, like body repair in your car? They often will say, get a couple of estimates, and then they always go for the one with the lowest bid, right?
The homeowner, it's his or her choice to decide who they want to work on the home.
That's good.
To do the work.
That's good, yeah.
So the insurance company could say, or the adjuster could say, get some estimates and submit them. They're obviously going to want to choose the lowest estimate. Is that going to be the best one? Well,
not usually.
It's hard to say, but the homeowner has the choice of who they want to do the work. So it's not necessarily something where you have to choose the lowest bid.
Yeah.
There are guidelines that the insurance company goes with as far as a pay schedule, payment allotment for different things, and they will give you so much for whatever needs done, and as long as you stick within those guidelines. They're going to give you that amount of money, so you just need to get it fixed within that budget, that scope of work.
Okay, and then anything else, you're just saying, okay, this is what the insurance company is allowing me. I want that bay window. I've always wanted it. I'm going to have to add $2,000 to the whole thing, and boom, we have our bay window finally, right?
Exactly.
Yep.
Huh.
But, you talked a little bit about the water damage and things from the storm. One thing that we wanted to talk about today is mold. And that's one thing that, oftentimes after water intrusion into a home, you have mold growth, especially a home that's opened up, like you were talking about that apartment building.
Yeah.
There's going to be extensive water throughout something like that, and mold is something that we come across quite often in a variety of different locations, causes from different things. One of them that we went on just last week was a plumbing leak in a wall of a home. We've also been on ones where mold's been caused by the air conditioning. That was one that I can think of was Mrs. Anderson, Rosemary Anderson. We went in and
I bet that probably happens more often than we realize.
Her entire home, we had to take everything out, clean it. Clean the home from the ceilings, walls, floors, and then put everything back. So, and there's a lot that goes into that. Mike's got the book right there as far as the schooling that he's gone through for mold remediation. And, there's certain protocols that need to be followed. And
what happens? It's a living thing, mold, right? Mm-hmm. So if you were to have moldicide or whatever you would call it, it wouldn't kill it. If like a homeowner, I couldn't go to like Lowe's and get a bottle of mold killer.
Well, they do have a homeowner kits. I think at Lowe's you can get them there. This like the homeowner type testing kits just to see whether it is mold or not, and certain different types of mildicide or bacteria. But there's to an extent that a homeowner would want to even consider doing something like that, because obviously mold has certain risks, health risks, and things like that. So you need to be careful as far as to what you're dealing with, the types of mold, what it can do. What does anybody in your family have?
So what is a big mistake we make? I'm going to ask you if this is a mistake. Bleach. A lot of times you'll see mold, get the bleach out, and then next thing you know, you're saying, "Oh, I got to get out of the bathroom. It's getting to me. It's too much," because mold in the bathroom is real common.
Right. Typically, that's because there's a lack of ventilation in the bathroom. So you've got a lot of moisture buildup on the walls, on the inside, or plumbing leak in the bathrooms, and it's a very common place to have mold buildup. But yeah, bleach is one of the common things that are used. Typically, it's we don't use bleach in remediation for mold because it's also water-based, because many people put it with water, and actually mold, it grows with water.
And is it a maintenance kind of thing? In other words, once you eradicate the mold, I'm not done forever, right? I need you to come back next year, or do I call somebody else next year?
Hopefully, ideally, once the mold is eradicated, in order to clean up the mold, you can clean it up. But if you don't stop the source of the reason why the mold is growing, it's going to come back. So if it is a water leak, you must first find where the source of the water is coming from to create the mold. That's the most important part. So oftentimes, along with our mold remediation, we have our water. We have to do water restoration. Figure out where the cause of the problem is. If it's an exterior leak, water coming in from rain or the weather. Through the roof or the walls or whatever. And so we have to find these, the reason why it's happening, fix that, and then, fix the, remediate the mold. So that the mold remediation is, once it's taken care of, as long as the source has been stopped, you're not going to have a problem with it again. So, if it's in a bathroom situation...
So it's not really a maintained thing, except maybe in the bathroom.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Oftentimes, it could be maintenance. If it's your roof that's leaking, it's getting
inside the walls.
Water.
That's the scary part, because you don't see it.
Yep.
Maybe you don't even detect it at all.
Eventually, you will see it, though.
But you could be getting sick from it even before you see it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing. That's like Mike was saying. There's certain precautions that need to be taken as far as a homeowner wouldn't want to. Typically wouldn't want to take care of this himself, because that's the reason that there's protocols and standards that are followed in order to take care of them. If we're going into a mold situation, we'll often hire a company to come in, an environmental company to come in, and they'll do what's called a protocol. Basically what that is a step-by-step guide for us to follow as far as what needs to be taken care of, which areas of the home need to be remediated, where we need to set up certain containment systems, and how we need to go about remediating it, what we need to do, how long the equipment needs to stay in there in order to circulate the air, different things like that. I mentioned containment. You can't just go into a mold situation and start tearing out the walls, and then you're just opening it up for the rest of the contaminating the rest of the home, maybe even the air conditioning system, and circulating it throughout. So we go in and we form barriers. As far as
keeping it contained.
Visqueen, plastic barriers or whatever to contain it, certain areas, and even creating tunnels in order to get to an exterior of the home. Once the contaminated materials are taken apart or taken out, we have to bag them and take them out safely that way, not just carrying moldy debris throughout a house.
And is mold damage or mold treatment covered by homeowners insurance?
Typically, there is. They usually have a cap unless you have a specific rider or an extra policy going with your insurance. Usually, there's a.
You pay so much for homeowners insurance,
right?
You would think.
Yeah, they typically cap it at about $10,000 is where a mold cap is usually at, if it's even in a policy, and some of them don't even cover it anymore unless you specifically.
And is it usually that high to fix it?
It can be
$10,000. Yeah,
it can be very expensive, depending on the amount of, depending on the situation. And there again, it's very important to always know what your insurance covers, what type of coverage you have. Make sure that you've gone over this with your agent in order to make sure that you have a policy that is protecting you and your family and all of your possessions the way that you need to be protected. That's the most important step, is to make sure you know what your insurance is. You asked if oftentimes if it's going to be that much. We did a home where there was a window leak. The water was coming in a glass block window, going down the wall into or beneath a tub, a marble tub. So there was tile and marble tub. The glass block windows. They didn't even know that there was mold there until they started smelling it coming out the vent.
Right.
The air vent for the tub. In getting under there, I had to stick my hand in under, behind the tub with my camera and get a picture of it.
Oh, wow.
Just to show them what was growing there. But it was completely black under the tub. In order to do the remediation, we had to remove all the tile, all the tub. I mean, this was a huge garden tub.
Right.
I had to pull the tub out and replace everything.
What did it smell like? You said they smelled it.
It smells moldy.
Moldy, like an old sponge.
It smells like kind of like a musty smell.
Okay.
Like a damp basement kind of is what you're gonna smell. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, every once in a while, the waitress at the restaurant cleans your table with a dirty rag, and you say, "Man, do you smell that?"
Yeah.
That happens, right?
Yeah, that's not quite the smell, though.
Yeah, it's not. You have the mold.
We hope they're not wiping your table with a moldy sponge.
Does damage control ever include furniture? That's kind of a silly question, I think, but does it?
Well, when there is a flood or a mold situation, I mean, we've had to take furniture and have it cleaned properly in order to restore it. If it's a flood and it gets damaged, as far as the water saturates up into the furniture, it's pretty much garbage at that point. Depending on the material that it's made of too. But cloth, like for example, if you had a couch,
right.
and you have an extensive amount of mold in your home, you'll never get that out of the couch. I mean, it'll be throughout the material. You can't clean.
So you got to get rooms to go and get another one.
There you go. I mean, it depends on the material and what you're dealing with, as far as how to clean it. So, and then like I said too, the protocols that are done, they'll tell you what is salvageable and what is not in a home. So once you have a third party come in and do the testing, and the nice thing about having a third party come in and give you the protocol, as long as we as a restoration company follow that protocol and do everything that's needed, we're going to eliminate the problem. We're going to fix clean everything so that there is no more mold, and then we have them come back and do a final inspection, and they'll do air quality tests in order to make sure that we've done everything and we've gotten rid of the mold.
Does a dehumidifier is it effective in preventing mold?
Yes. Depending on the situation, but it's always good to. A dehumidifier will always help keep the humidity levels down, and that's what oftentimes creates mold, is high levels of humidity.
So a home in Arizona, for example, probably doesn't have this issue of mold as we do. As much of an issue.
Yeah, not. They say if you want to get away from mold and allergies, then Arizona's a place to go. As we live in Florida,
this is so arid.
Yeah, we have high humidity in here, just outside on a daily basis. So we really live in an environment that is conducive for mold growth, even outside. So outside can be actually high counts of whether it's spores or allergies.
Oh, really?
They give you that. On the news sometimes you'll hear.
That's right.
You'll hear the count, and that has a lot to do with the mold spores that are just in the air and the outside. So we live in a state that has high humidity. So that's one of the things we have to be concerned about in our homes when we talk about preventative measures, is maybe having a humidistat or something in our AC unit to keep an eye on the humidity level inside our home.
Mike,
And that's one thing, before you go that's one thing that, we were talking about. Whenever we get an indoor air quality test done, they always take tests outside the home as well in order to compare the levels inside and outside.
Mike Sobieski and Joe Reichel are your hosts right now. This is Damage Control. If you have a question for Mike or Joe, give us a call at the Climate Control Source Hotline, 622-9622, and they will help you better understand what you're going to need to do to fix that damage that you've been waiting to fix. And don't wait, because there's always something going to leak in if you don't fix it. That's what we looks like as anyway. The phone number over at Damage Control Services, what is that?
622-5135, or you can reach me directly. This is Joe, 817-6574.
And Mike, do you have a direct number?
Yeah, my number is 817-8932.
8932. Call me if you need that repeated. I'll be glad to do that for you. So do you now and then get calls from out of town? Like, will you perhaps get the phone ringing for the Northeast? With all that damage?
We received emails last afternoon.
Oh, you did?
I think from companies that we work with as far as if we wanted to travel northward.
Oh, wow. And do you?
We probably will not.
Will not. Okay. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. I was actually calling to see if Joe needed a call-in for the mold. I actually hired him to do a mold job for my mother-in-law.
Sure.
Okay.
A testimonial?
Yeah, I'll take testimonials anytime.
Yeah.
If that's what it is.
What happened?
My mother-in-law actually had a leak and got mold in her home and didn't know it until the smell was so bad that it was throughout her whole house.
Oh, my goodness.
And Joe had done a job for a friend of mine who had a tree fall through her roof. And she had spoke to me several times about how amazing he was. So when the mold showed up in my mother's house, I called her to get his phone number. And he came out and actually took care of the entire mold situation for my mother-in-law, and absolutely did that. Got rid of all the mold, cleaned the entire house, even went through and did all her laundry that had mold in it.
Oh, wow. So it smelled much better right away?
Right away.
Right away, huh? Wow.
Right away.
It took, I think, that job. Thank you, Marie.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for calling in this morning.
You're welcome. I was watching your show and realized what the topic was and thought I should really call in because my mother-in-law was so pleased with your work.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the kind words. Yeah, that job, I believe it took us almost a week. Had to take everything out of the home. Like she said, laundry, everything, any of the clothing, all of it had to be, cleaned properly. So
I would imagine it would also attract bugs. I mean, just because it's wet, I would imagine they'd be hanging around somewhere.
Well, it really depends. I mean, if it's somewhere water's getting in an exterior source. I mean, you always have termites can get in that way.
Yeah.
If water's getting in, termites can get in, and ants and.
But
things
even
like
just
that.
bugs looking for water, like roaches or whatever. I'm guessing they get thirsty too.
Yeah, and that's one thing. I mean, most of the time, people, here in Florida, they have a pest company that's taking care of the home. So I don't know that we've ever really had a situation where there's been a lot of.
So mold doesn't necessarily equal bugs?
Not necessarily. Not that I can think of.
I haven't really noticed a major correlation between the two. I mean, maybe they don't care for the smell either.
Yeah, right. Oh no, there's a plus side to mold. Well, at least you don't have any bugs.
Yeah, you're not going to have
What's
bugs.
that smell? That's the mold. Leave it alone. We don't have any bugs anymore, right?
That's right.
Right? Yeah, when you're looking at as I'm talking to you, I'm looking over your shoulder now, then I'm not trying to be rude and online, because they keep flashing pictures of what's going on up in the Northeast, and I guess now that it's daylight, they're starting to get the news guys out and getting more pictures.
Seeing what the damage really is now.
Yeah.
It is unbelievable what a hurricane will do. Mike and I, when the last ones came through Florida, Mike and I both went down to Punta Gorda, Arcadia, Wauchula areas in order to help out with some of the rebuild down there. Even before that, we went down for pre-storm in order to help
Sorry.
It's okay. For the pre-storm in order to help out and get things ready. So, it is extremely devastating what can happen with the power of these storms.
All right, that music was supposed to be gentle underneath you as we ended. I had it in the wrong place. All right, do you want to give out any numbers once more? If you have a need for any kind of damage control of your home, whether it's mold or a tree fell through your house or there was a fire, smoke damage, maybe even from next door, it could be, right?
Whatever insurance-related damage to your home or business, we can help. You can reach me at joe@damageflorida.com. That's my email. Phone number 352-817-6574.
Yeah, and mine is mike@damageflorida.com. That's the email, and 817-8932 is a direct line to myself.
All right, thank you guys. Thank you for helping us all get back to normal. Right? We'll take a little break, and we'll be right back with Erwin Yablans. This is the guy they consider to be the man who created Halloween. He's the guy who created all those Halloween movies. We'll be right back.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA. Ocala!
You're listening to WOCA News Talk 1370, Ocala's source for what's happening in today's hottest, up-to-date news and